But power of observation.
Good morning. Morning. All right, we're 50% of the way into September. Many of you are 50% of the way from not getting a phone call from me. Good news. 100%. Don't forget. Tell everybody that's not here. Let's see. Rob Midget has our invitation, flag, a four-way test, and a Rotary moment.
All right, well, Ralph Jones asked me to do that this morning when I walked in. And I was inclined to say, not today. But because I was inclined to say that, I decided I'd do it. So bow your heads with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We don't deserve it, but you've given it to us. We ask that you please forgive us of our sinful nature and the things that we do that are ugly and things that we do that aren't helpful. We thank you for people like the Salvation Army and the good that they do to others, and they give us an opportunity to do good like Rotary does. We ask that you just take our selfishness and our hard hearts, soften them, and make us more like your Son. In his name we pray, amen. Amen. Oh, bless this food. Thank you. Of the things we think, say, and do. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Of the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Now, do I have to do a Rotary moment?
Yeah, you got to. You can do your taking your cat in the shower.
Tell us a cat story. Tell us a cat story.
Cat in the shower. Those are for all the day for the year.
All right, my Rotary moment is just something I was thinking about this morning. Somebody asked me about Macy. You know, little Macy, the little puppy I brought in a bag one day. Well, she's 38 pounds. She's no Jack Russell, okay? And I might bring her one day. But that was my favorite dog Rotary moment.
Thank you, Rob. In Ralph's defense, Ralph did have it all lined up, so things didn't quite work out. And thank you, Rob, for pitching in. While I'm thinking of it, I assume you all saw the big Salvation Army truck over there. And if you didn't bring your items, they'll take what you're wearing. Tommy Richardson has our Sergeant at Arms.
Buster Lewis sold $60 worth of traffic tickets this morning. Around for the drawing. I got two visitors from Guilford, Steve Mackler. And Lee Porter's here from Greensboro. Danny Farley brought Howard Driggers again as a guest. Chip brought the guest speaker, who's Dick Jones.
Dick Jones, I'll give a full introduction to Dick here in just a minute.
Thank you, Tommy. Announcements. Lieutenant Dan. I see all kinds of things on the tables here. Well, we got two Dans. Go ahead, Eddie. You finish this, Dan.
All right. I'll give you a brief. Okay, so if you have anything from the office or wherever you work, I can pull my truck up. If not, give me a call or an email, and I'll be glad to come pick stuff up. I know I'm going by Steve, Brandon this morning. Anybody else that needs it, I can do it later this afternoon. And then we can wrap that up with a teacher's warehouse. Don't forget, if you haven't signed in on the Google Sheets, to make sure you're signed up for our Project Rebuild, please. And get your good old sneakers ready for Saturday the 21st. Pick up all the litter we can. There's some forms we get to sign and all that now. So well, let's bring those to the event. Okay, it's the 21st. It's at Steelman Park again.
That's the same place we were last year. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Danny. Dan.
Okay. Yeah, don't make Danny chase you. There's like 6 people signed up to do rebuild at Big Sweep. Big Sweep's next weekend, and rebuild's only 3 weeks away. It's a real sweat for Danny. He's got to have all of his children and people out of kindergarten come for us. The flyers on the table for the Children of Vietnam Golf Tournament in October. We've got one foursome here already put together. It'd be terrific to have a second. The big deal is Pig Stop. You can go online, the sign-ups on the sheet, and get your tickets. We had a meeting this week. Everybody's really engaged. We've got 10 different people coming out to cook. We've got everything from Texas beef brisket to a dozen kinds of North Carolina barbecue chicken. We got one guy cooking Vietnamese style barbecue, so it's going to be a fabulous afternoon. So please just go online and grab your tickets.
Thank you, Dan. Dan, stand back up. I know.
I know, I got to go to a funeral.
No, I'm not going to make fun of your shorts. But now that you brought it up, I have a check here for $1,250 from Gate City Rotary Foundation on behalf of the past presidents. I know that you had your speaker back a couple months ago, and of course with this fundraiser on the eve, I thought it'd be appropriate to present this to you. Thank you for what you worked on.
We've already received $1,000 from the district on this, so this is really $1,200 or $2,200 and change. The water filtration system is built, it's in place. We already built the kindergarten, thank you very much. So now we supply water not only to the kindergarten, but to an entire village way up in the mountains of Vietnam. It was really drinking out of some nasty stuff. So we got it, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Let's see, Kevin, birthdays and anniversaries.
For anniversaries, we're a little bit light this week. We only have one anniversary, and that's Blake and Lynn Hunt on the 13th.
Any other announcements before my favorite part of the program? Buster.
I thought it was adjournment. Happy dollars! I know we got a bunch of them. Mr. Sloan?
This weekend, Jan, me, and 5 friends of mine got to do the Mario Andretti race experience down at Charlotte Speedway. And these were like open wheel, these style of cars. And Jim, how fast did you go?
154 miles.
And I was at 155. Yeah. Jim was actually the fastest. I was at the average. These are average speeds. 144. I had. He was fastest in our group.
Y'all riding in the Penn's car?
Very, very cool. Average speed. And I actually got to pass three on the road.
All right, I'm gonna, a big one, so I'm gonna enlist a little help from the club here. I'm gonna take more than my $1 worth. I gave them 5. We have this pig stock team that we're gonna be cooking evidently pork and brisket this year. So that's going to be an extra fun thing. All right, we want everybody to join in and come out. We need more people on the team if you want to join us up. But we have a problem. We have equal votes within the team, and now we have an odd number. I could have done this another way maybe. But we have 2 names, the Snoop Hogg and the Really Hot Saucers. Which, you know, with Emily and Rachel, you can understand that, although with Danny and Richard Needham in short shorts, it's not going to look so cute out there. Guy has deferred. He's going to wear some scrubs or something. So, or Hunka Burn and Rub. And so, since we're representing the club here, I'm going to ask by a show of hands or hooting, and let's do hooting and hollering. That's more fun. Who likes Hunka Burn and Rub? Woo! Who likes Snoop Hogg and the Really Hot Saucers? I'm pretty sure, no offense, but I'm pretty sure Hunka Burn and Rub is the name. Please come out November 2nd. Come out to my house Sunday and help us cook some of this stuff. James.
So yesterday afternoon, I'm walking my dog, and my good friend and neighbor Mike Allen drives by, and he stops and he's complimenting on some pictures on Facebook. But he gave me some sage advice. in a year like this, focus on the tailgate.
Town stands.
Got a couple of them. The first one's for Rob for making the rest of us who did say no to Ralph feel like crap. And the second one is, as many of you know, my two girls play soccer, and Victoria hadn't started the season yet, but Rosa did, and we drove down to Southern Pines to play that crowd down there on Saturday, and they won 4-0, and Rosa had 2 goals. So.
All right.
Y'all all know that Max goes on a lot of mission trips, and I think he's been on over 50 trips over the last several years. And he's been to Guatemala, and he started out putting 150 stoves in the Indian homes that they still live in a one-room house, dirt floor, and they cook all their meals over an open fire. So I've gone with him, I think, for 4 years now. And he's increased it to 200 stoves. And I wouldn't be on that team. He's agreed to let me go again for some reason. And I got a member of my church to go, and so we're trying to raise money, $3,000, to outfit a home with a new stove, vented through the roof, and give them a water filter. Cost $300, and so we're raising money for 10 families. So if you'd like to support it in any way, you can send stuff to Oak Ridge Church. I think we'll put something on the website about it. But hope you do support us. It's a great cause, and it really changed the lives of the Maya Indians there for forever for just $300, which is nothing to us, but it's a lifetime change.
Stand up, I'll embarrass you. You don't have any shorts, though. Dale, it's timely that you would bring that up. In light of Happy Dollars and the great things you said and the great work that Max does, here's a happy $1,000 to Oak Ridge United Methodist Church on behalf of the past presidents of Gate City and all the great work you do down there. I know Ralph, Kelly, lots of people, Dale been down there, and it's on my bucket list to go help you one of these days. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, you're all invited. It's a great experience. I hope we'll have lots of other Rotarians to go one of these days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Jim Kennedy got me thinking about numbers when he said average speed was 154. I just wanted to kind of explain to Jim that average means that half the time he was driving faster. Yeah, well, yeah. And this other one is Beth Sheffield here this morning. Well, yesterday was the 1-year commemoration anniversary of the life of Gardner Sheffield, who had cardiac arrest. He was out and gone for about 10 minutes. And they had him over at Cone Hospital, which is a great place to go if you ever need that sort of thing, to be in the midnight sun. But he's gone to cardiac rehab for a year. He's had significant lifestyle changes. We celebrated him last night at our house, and so she's not here today. But anyway, he's doing really well, and primarily because of the love and care of a dear wife. So.
All right, I'm not going to let these Victoria and Rosa stories go unanswered anymore, Hal. Hal.
Yes.
I'm not letting these Victoria and Rosa stories go unanswered anymore.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Pay attention.
I'm good.
Kaylee also plays classic soccer. They're in the same club, not on the same team, and her team is 7-1 so far this year. 2 finalists in the 2 tournaments they played in, and in 8 games. Kaylee's the goalie, by the way, giving up 5 goals.
Well, Grandpappy told me something that it could really be bad news for the dentists in our group. I don't know if y'all heard this, but Walmart is talking about opening up dentist offices in some of their stores. And y'all heard this? And they're even going to have an express lane for people with 12 teeth or less. The Grandpappy always said, you know, all they need to do is add a daycare and a prison and you'd never have to leave.
What they also said that the toothbrush was invented in West Virginia.
That's right.
Any other state it would have been the teeth brush. Chip Mercer, who's our speaker this morning.
All right. I want to introduce my good friend Dick Jones. I met Dick about 6 or 7 years ago down at a place where we go shooting and hunting and have fun and do a few other things there on the weekends called Beaver Pond Sporting Club. And after knowing Dick for a while, he asked me to join the board of Enduring Gratitude, which is a group of 6 or 7 people, men mostly from High Point. I'm the one Greensboro representative, I think. But the goal was to return something, to give back, to show our gratitude to some of the people coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. We had no idea how hard it would be to stir this up and get the fire going. Once we got it going, it's actually taken off pretty good. And Gate City and several members in here have helped support it along the way. Dick was unusually capable of helping start this thing and get it going because Dick is a writer. He writes for the High Point Enterprise. He's also a freelance writer. Writes about hunting, fishing, dogs, shooting, and the outdoor sports in general. He's also quite the chef. And then his career's picked up a little bit after he got going on this. He now writes nationally for Outdoor Hub, Recoil Magazine, and Gun Digest, which gives Dick a lot of scope if you want to draw attention to something, if you get mentioned in one of Dick's articles. He's good friends with Austin Cavanis, WXII over there in Winston-Salem, and he's helped us really get the word out about Enduring Gratitude. And so, without further ado, a legend in his own mind, Dick Jones.
Thank you, Chip. I'm not going to walk over there to that thing. If y'all have trouble hearing me, let me know, all right? I just got a little paper here to keep me on track. I hope y'all have time to stay here. I've got a 4-hour speech planned. I'm at the Fidel Castro School of Public Speaking, and I've got a lot to say. Now, I'll have y'all out of here by 8 o'clock if my watch works right. I'm going to talk for a few minutes and then give y'all a chance to ask some questions if you've got some. You know, I drove over here this morning. I've got an old 87 Mustang convertible, and last night I was thinking about what I was going to drive over here, and I thought, I believe I'll drive my convertible. So I put a fleece in the car. It's kind of chilly early in the morning. Started down the highway and turned the heat on, driving down the road. And I couldn't help but think about how life is good. I've heard you guys, some of y'all talking this morning about how life is good. My buddy Charlie's going fishing today. Where you at, Charlie? Has he already left?
He's gone.
He's already left. But life is good, isn't it? We live in a place where life is really good. I don't know how often y'all think about it, but the poor people in the United States are in the top 6 percentile for wealth in the world. We're very fortunate. You know, our view of having trouble in our life is another person's dream in other parts of the world. We were just talking about putting stoves. $300 puts a stove in a Guatemalan house. I encourage young people to go on some kind of a mission trip or something and get to a country where people are not so fortunate, just to see how they live. Because otherwise, we kind of lose track of how blessed we are in our lives. Because we are truly blessed. But that didn't come without a price. Somebody paid the price for that. We're very fortunate, but somebody sacrificed so that we can be as fortunate as we are. I'm going to talk about a few of those people, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about enduring gratitude. Claude William Jones fought in World War II. He hit Omaha Beach on day 2. He had already spent time in Italy at that point, and actually from northern Africa, I think, to Italy. He was my uncle. He was the least adjusted of all my uncles. He had trouble his whole life. I'm sure that Uncle Bill had post
traumatic stress disorder. There's no doubt in my mind. He had a lot of trouble with things. He was sometimes emotional. Sometimes it just seemed like he didn't have the focus he could have had. And I'm sure, you know, people have different personalities. But he never talked about his war experience at all. I knew that he had been wounded, and but I didn't know how bad or whatever. I just knew very basic things. And actually, I'd asked my parents, and they didn't know a lot about his experience. We went to the beach one time, and I'm a shooter. I like to shoot, fish, hunt. I like to do all of that stuff. I'm such a lazy person by nature that I managed to be smart enough to work myself in a position where I get paid to do things I like to do. But we were at the coast fishing, and we were going to take a little side trip and go to Cherry Point Marine Corps Air Station and shoot a rifle match. And I had an M1 rifle, and this rifle was going to be the rifle that my shooting partner and I were going to shoot that next day. And it occurred to me that Uncle Bill had carried an M1 rifle in World War II, and I got that rifle out of the case and I handed it to him. I said, "Uncle Bill, you remember this?" And he looked at that rifle, and his demeanor changed. He held that rifle, and he started talking. And he told me, and Mike, and my mom and dad, and my aunt, a lot of his experiences from World War II. Having that rifle in his hand triggered those memories. It was terrible. He lost friends. He witnessed a medic die in a horrible death within sight of them, and they couldn't do anything to save him. And this boy had gone out to save another guy. He saw terrible things. He was wounded later. That took him out of the war. He came home. But was never quite the same man afterwards. Gary Clodfelter was a really good friend of mine when I was a little boy. We were in Sunday school classes together. We grew up together. When he turned 17, he had saved his money working in tobacco. He bought a 1968 Camaro. I remember a summer afternoon when Gary and I left Thomasville, went to High Rock Lake, spent the afternoon swimming. He was all excited about his new girlfriend. She was my sister's friend. He wound up marrying Sandy, got drafted, went to Vietnam. Gary never came home. Charlie Lauer was a friend of mine. Charlie passed away last year. He was, I think he was 86 years old when he passed away. He might be wrong there. He served in the late stages of World War II. He loaded bombs underneath airplanes on an island in the Pacific in the Marine Corps. The war was over. He finished his tour in the Marine Corps, went home, joined the reserves. He was in the reserves during the Korean War, decided to go back on active duty about the end of the Korean War, but never went over there. And finished out his career in the Marine Corps, including 3 tours in Vietnam. Incredible, isn't it? You know what Charlie did when he got out of the Marine Corps? He went to work getting paid nothing, teaching kids how to shoot. Keith Harrison is another friend of mine. Keith, I got in touch with Keith in kind of an unusual way. I have a really good friend. I teach shooting. I teach North Carolina concealed carry class. I had a guy in my concealed carry class that took the class, and he said, I want to learn to shoot better. I want some individual instruction from you. And I said, okay, that's great. I noticed in his email address that his email address was part of it was PC Teach. And I said, what's PC Teach? And he said, I teach people how to do things on computers. I am really terrible. I'm a hacker with a computer. I constantly have trouble. And I said, look, I'm always needing help. Let's trade services. So I started teaching him how to shoot, and he started helping me with my computer. We'd had that arrangement for a little while, and he called me one day and he said, I've got a really good friend, and I want to give him 2 hours of time with you as a shoot instructor for Christmas. He said, how much will that cost me? I said, that's not going to cost you anything. I said, we'll just do it as part of the trade. I said, I'll get you a certificate together, and you can he can come over and we'll spend some time. He told me a little bit about this guy, and after he told me a little bit about this guy, I told him, I said, it's not going to make any difference anyway. I'd spend time with this guy anyway. This guy, his name was Keith Harrison. He had gone into the Army right out of high school. He was in 82nd Airborne. He, after his 4 years in the Army, he joined the National Guard. He went to both Iraq and Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, he suffered an injury, and he still has some problems with PTSD. He was a medic, and later on, when I started talking to Keith, I found out that he has some tattoos on his arm that have the names of some people, and those are people that were his friends that he lost. 3 of his friends, 3 people in his outfit, one that he was really, really close to, was injured, and they died while he was trying to save them. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine, you look around this room, I know most of you in this room have friends, but Chip probably doesn't. But most of you in this room have a really close friend. Think about how you'd feel if you were assigned the responsibility of keeping those people alive and you failed. Can you imagine the burden that would be? He received an injury in 2003 or 4, I believe it was, and it was a head injury, and he was having headaches and that sort of thing, but he didn't want to leave his outfit because he knew if he went and turned in his injury, reported it, they'd send him to Ramstein because it was a head injury. So he didn't go. And it probably wouldn't have made that much difference anyway. He has migraine headaches on a regular basis. He has a PTSD dog. These guys gave up so much. It's unbelievable to think about what they gave up. They gave up the births of children, first Little League games, dance recitals. A lot of them lost their marriage. Keith was one. One of the guys that is involved with the North Carolina National Guard told me that while one of the guys was in Afghanistan, his wife sent him pictures of her and her new boyfriend and told him she was getting a divorce. Can you imagine being in a situation where every day your life is in danger and you get news like that? It's incredibly tough. What they do is unbelievably hard. And you know, historically, what they've done in the course of the history of this country, that's just part of the job. When those guys went in, when they signed up to serve, they knew that was part of the job. Their motivation is remarkable. If you sit down and talk to one of those guys, his motivation is remarkable. It's hard to understand their motivation. How many guys here serve? We have anybody here that serves? You kind of know how it is. You guys volunteered. You know how it is. You talk to the guys around you, and you have a commitment in your heart too. One of the things I feel really bad about is I never served. I got involved with military people when I was shooting high-power rifle. I ran North Carolina's high-power rifle team for several years. I had a close relationship with the Marine Corps and the North Carolina National Guard. We did things together. We used the same range and that sort of thing. And I got to know these people. I was totally amazed when I started getting in-depth knowledge of what makes most military men, what makes them tick. They're an amazing group of people. And they sacrifice a lot. And how do we start my pictures? I've got some pictures here of some of the events that we've done for Enduring Gratitude. And let me tell you a little bit about Enduring Gratitude. We were sitting around the kitchen table. You know, the best place for things to happen in the world is a kitchen table. And Beaver Pond Sport Club has a kitchen, and we have a kitchen table, and we have this beautiful lodge room with leather chairs and a fireplace, and it's gorgeous, man, but everything happens in the kitchen. We were sitting around the kitchen table one day, and we were talking about this sort of thing, and we decided that we'd start doing something for the Wounded Warrior Battalion. So we organized an event, and it was a nice event. We got guys from the Wounded Warrior Battalion came down.
So you're standing right.
Oh, I'm standing right now. And actually, this is one of those guys right here. It's one of those guys. We had, I think we had about 21 guys that day, and I kind of put together a thing in the newspaper, and we had people donate $300. The guys came down, and they had coffee and donuts, shot some clay targets, went out in the field. When they went out in the field, we had a pheasant tower shoot. We had guys that were dog handlers out there with their dogs, and the dogs, they got to see dogs work, which is a neat thing. If you've never seen a working dog in action, that's a unique experience in itself. When they shot birds, the dogs would retrieve the birds, and we had volunteers going around picking up the birds, and at the bird shed there were volunteers cleaning the birds and packing them up in Ziploc bags for the guys to take home with their family, because it was pheasants, and pheasants are wonderful. I don't know if you've ever had pheasant, but it's a great bird to eat. It was a really neat thing. After it was over, you ever do something and after you do it, you want some more? You ever notice that the good things that you do in your life are the things that make you want some more a lot of times? I had a friend one time who said, boy, he said, I'm just down. He said, I'm so depressed. He'd gone through a divorce and all kinds of things. So I just feel terrible. I said, it's like I've lost faith in humanity. And I said, you know what? I said, go out and do something nice for somebody that you don't know, and you know you'll never get anything out of it. And I said, it'll make you feel good, I promise. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
I was raised by a very wise woman. My mama said that only people that do things for other people are happy. Think about that. You know anybody that only does things for themselves? Is that person happy? That's where we get happy in our lives. These guys, this is from 2 or 3 different events. They're ordinary guys. They're just ordinary guys. After we did the first event with the Wounded Warrior Battalion, we started thinking about the fact that Wounded Warrior Battalion gets so much attention. They're a very big organization, and they serve fortunately, it's not a huge number of people. Those people get a lot of opportunities. But these guys, like this guy right here, we just saw, he's a chief warrant officer at Winston-Salem at the National Guard Vehicle Maintenance Battalion. He's done 2 or 3 tours in Afghanistan. These guys don't get a lot of attention. They don't come home desperately wounded. A lot of them aren't having any trouble at all. They're adjusting. But they need gratitude too, don't they? Because they still gave up a lot. We forget when they come home whole and they come home without problems, we forget about what they sacrificed. It's very easy to do that because you look at these guys, you don't think that they had a problem. You can't see it on the outside. You don't know what they gave up. So we started Enduring Gratitude. The idea behind Enduring Gratitude is to take, to put people like you who have gratitude for their service, who have the ability to contribute either financially or by doing something with these guys, and put them with soldiers.
That's my twin.
Yeah, that's Ray Sheffield, Ray's Vice President of Enduring Gratitude. But the idea is to get these guys together and do something nice for them. And that's the whole thing. I was on the Wolf radio program with Leanne Petty, and I had one of the guys, I can't remember his name now, who's Chief John's, worked for Chief John in Winston. This boy had been on 2 tours, and his wife was getting ready to leave. She's National Guard too. She was getting ready to go. And Leanne Petty said, Leanne Petty asked him, she said, how does it make you feel, for these guys to do this for you? And this is a young, strong, tough young man, okay? This is a tough young man. And his eyes got shiny. He choked up a little bit. And he said, he said, I've had people to buy me lunch. I've had people to buy me a cup of coffee, and that's nice. He said, I've never had anybody to do anything like this. He said, it makes me feel really, really good. He said, I'd have done it either way, because it was what I wanted to do and what I felt like I ought to do. But he said, it sure does feel good. And that's what we're all about. Just making them guys know how much we appreciate it. Anybody got any questions? And by the way, I appreciate you guys being involved with us so much. If we had, there are so many opportunities. And if you're sitting in this room and you've got a heart for this kind of stuff, we're looking for a few good men. We're like the Marine Corps. And women. You'll never do anything that'll make you feel any better, I promise. Yeah?
Where are you located and how often do you do this?
We do, we're kind of, we don't have an office, obviously. Everybody that's on the board, everybody that's involved in Enduring Gratitude, it's a totally volunteer thing. Nobody gets compensated at all. But I'm in High Point. Most of us are in High Point. Chip's the only one from Greensboro. And we do things around here. We have other organizations that do things with us. There's a game preserve down in Halifax County, and we've done stuff with him as well. He does kind of the same thing as us. There's a lot of organizations like us that are kind of local in nature. One of the things that makes this so good for me is I'm an outdoor writer. I'll give you an example of how this can work. A while back I got an email from a girl in Arkansas who had heard about Enduring Gratitude. Now we don't have anybody in Arkansas. She sent me an email. She told me her fiance's story, and she said he's adjusting well. He was wounded. he didn't lose a limb, but he lost a lot of use of a limb. And she said, he loves to hunt, and I saw what you guys do. Is there any way you could arrange for a hunt for him? This didn't cost Enduring Gratitude anything. It just cost me a little bit of time. Because all I did was, I got on I looked at some people that I knew, other writers that were in Arkansas, sent them some emails. I didn't get anything back from them. I got back that they couldn't really help me with what I was trying to do. So I went to a place in a website that has hunting outlets. The time of the year, a pig hunt made sense because a lot of other things were out of season. I contacted a couple of companies that did pig hunts, outfitters. Both of them volunteered to take him hunting, and I actually took the better of the two deals. And the fact of the matter is that if somebody in this room wanted to help, we could expand things like that a lot. We could do a lot of that because I know the right people to call. A lot of times it's kind of hard for me to. I travel a lot. Last month I was in a 3-week period. I was home 4 days. I was in 3 different states covering things that I write about. But we can use help. We can use money. We can use help, and we can use referrals of veterans too. Somebody else have a question? Yeah.
That was actually going to be my question. Is how do you get in contact with the soldiers or get the word out for this?
We've done it 2 or 3 different ways. We've got enough of a profile now. We've got a couple of guys that have connections with, we've had a lot of Navy SEALs. We've got, Joe Murray has a connection with the SEALs, and we've had a lot of Navy SEALs out there. When we did the maintenance guys at Winston-Salem, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, call Chief John and talk to him, and he might have some guys that would want to do it. And we wound up with, I don't know, what did we get out of there, 21 guys or something like that, pretty big group of guys, just from that one outfit. To be able to do something with a whole outfit, that's great. You know, the thing that you have to remember is, we've got the smallest force we've had since World War II, and we're involved in the longest engagement we've ever been engaged in the history of the United States. So these guys are going back over and over and over again. And, you know, in the old days, it was very rare for National Guard and Army Reserve guys to go serve, to go on tour. But now, I talked to a National Guard guy that's been on 6 tours, and he's National Guard. He's got a MOS that they really need, and they just keep cycling him back through because they need him. Anything else? Once again, guys, I really appreciate what you're doing for Enduring Gratitude. It means a lot. I appeal to you to get involved. There's a lot of other organizations that do the same thing that we do, but the more people that we have that have a heart for it and have an interest in it, the more we can do.
Our next event is February the 2nd. We're in the organizational stages. We're trying to make it our biggest and best yet. It will be at Beaver Pond. But if you have a connection with a soldier, a Marine, or a Marine, an airman, woman, we've had females, we've had whatever. If they serve this country, I don't think we've had anybody from the Coast Guard, but they would certainly be eligible as well. We would love to have them and would love to put them in the list, but we also need volunteers. I don't know if you saw the old guy there. That's the old guy sort of hunched over like that in a World War II looking or Vietnam era field jacket. That's my father-in-law, which is 73, 3 tours in Vietnam, 3 Purple Hearts. And he'll tell you that he was a Marine because the Army guys would have learned after he'd been shot twice to keep his damn head down. But, you know, we brought Butchie out there. I'm the only one here probably get away with calling him Butchie. But we brought Butch out there and turned him loose for those guys. They loved him. He had a blast. So it's an open thing. We've had Porter Halliburton. How many people here have ever heard Porter talk? 7 years in the Hanaway Hilton with John McCain, and he's a hell of a guy. We actually turned Porter down. We didn't know who he was, so the person that answered the phone didn't know who he was. we found out that he had called, and we're like, whoa, wait a minute, that guy's got to get there. So we made him the guest of honor, and he may actually be
I
our.
think Porter's gonna be there for this next one that we've got coming
I
up.
think he's going to be one of our speakers. We now have we have had active Army and Navy admirals and generals speak at our events. We're not sure who our speaker will be, but we're looking for help, and I'll tell you something, you get far more out of it than what you put in. So.
Yeah.
Chip, if you would, circulate to the club email his contact information.
Most definitely.
Put everybody right directly in touch with him.
Most definitely.
Anybody got anything else?
I do. Dick, on behalf of the past presidents of Gate City Rotary and the great work you do, here is a check for $1,000.
Thank you.
For your
Thank you
effort.
so much.
And also, we're going to donate a book to Cone Elementary School. It's inscribed with your name and today's date in honor of your work. Otis and Ray and the Grumblings Splunk, whatever that is.
Sounds like right up my
You ever shot one of those? If you would, please, draw a winning raffle ticket here. One of which might be mine.
Yeah, that's right.
I forgot to buy them.
Oh, wow. Somebody just lost. 45.50.
Oh, right here.
Hey, Rob! Get paid for that invitation. Y'all have a great day.